So for the last week or so, I've been finding it really difficult to get out and do longer trips to visit newer places, just because of other things that are going on. So what I've been trying to do is work locations that I've been to before, locations that are not too far from home. So this afternoon I've come to a place I've been to quite a few times. In fact, I've done a couple of videos here. It's called Torre del Charco. Now the last few times that I've been here, I've actually been over the other side of the scene, which is the other side of a little headland over there, low down on the beach, on the rocky beach. But today I've come up onto the cliff top on the other side of that headland to see if I can get a different view on the place. And I think I've got something which might be interesting. Conditions aren't ideal, there's very little cloud about. We are about 45 minutes before sunset, maybe 50 minutes before sunset, so the light is starting to look reasonably nice, but we'll have to see what we can achieve. It's extremely windy. It's actually we've got beautiful blue skies and warm sun, but a really chilly wind coming in, and that's certainly making it less pleasant standing up on a cliff top. So while we're seeing what the light's doing, I want to talk a little bit about finding compositions. So my normal approach is to start checking out a scene just on foot, having a little wander around, seeing what I can find. I'm normally trying to get a different perspective on the scene than what you would see if you were just walking up to it. So quite often I will look at bending down low, getting up high, and I'll also be thinking about the perspective effects I can create with different focal lengths, using a wide angle lens to extend the perspective and make things look drawn out, or a short focal length to compress it and make things look closer together. Once I've got some ideas just from that little walk around, the next step is to get the camera out and just either peer through the viewfinder or use the live view screen and just actually check out and see what it looks like. Only once I've got an idea that a composition will work that way do I bother getting the tripod out and setting things up, and then doing all that hanging around waiting for the light. This location has actually been particularly frustrating. This tower sits out on a peninsula and I really want a wide angle view because I want to extend the perspective, really make that peninsula look longer. And normally when I go wide angle I want something strong in the foreground. I typically tend to go low point of view with something in the foreground. But because of the position of the sun, the shadow of the tripod and the camera is actually getting in the bottom of the frame, and I can't actually find a composition where it's not doing that. So in the end what I've done is I've gone for a higher viewpoint, cutting out a bit of the foreground. I'm going for a portrait or vertical orientation, and the intention will be that this will be cropped, probably 8 by 10. So I'm going to take out the top and bottom of the frame because we've got a lot of blue sky at the top, which is boring, and the rocks in the foreground are not really all that pretty anyway. So I'm probably going to crop this. I'm also going to probably shoot this with a 10-stop filter on, just to create some blur in the water. Well, it's about 25 minutes before sunset, so let me just talk you through the setup on the camera. I've got 16 to 35 lens on, about 21 millimeters, and I am shooting f11, and I'm going to try 1/13 of a second. That looks promising. Exposure looks good, everything's nice and sharp. So now I'm going to put a 10-stop filter on and see what it looks like with a longer exposure. Okay, so I fitted a 10-stop filter, it's a Lee big stopper, and I've taken one shot. I went to f8 and that gave me 30 seconds. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to f11. I'm going to try a 1 minute exposure. I just want to see what different effect it has on the movement of the sea. Okay, so that's f11 and a 1 minute exposure, and that looks pretty nice. The 10-stop filter does put a very slight blue colour cast on. Now normally I correct that in Lightroom, but actually it looks really nice here, so I'll see what it looks like when I get it back into Lightroom. The blue colour cast might stay, just adds a little bit of a different dimension to it. So that's it, sun's gone down now, I think it's time to head for home. My last few videos have been quite long, so maybe I'm due a short one. So I'm going to call this a video. I'm just going to say thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And likes, shares and comments are very much appreciated. Until the next time, bye.